Good morning folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's well, and welcome to another video. So today we're reviewing the Wickes post hole diggers. Now I decided to purchase these because I needed to install two collapsible security bollards. Now these needed to be set into deep, narrow holes, and the holes should be just over 800 millimeters. Now I do have existing tools which are capable of doing the job and I can get by with these. However, these aren't the best tools for the job. If I use a spade, which I've always used in the past, it means that I'm digging a much bigger hole than necessary, which in turn means that I've got more muck to dispose of and I have to fill a bigger hole with more concrete, which creates unnecessary expense. So anyway, I did my research and ended up buying these. And I found these to be very sturdy. They're a good length, so you can get a good depth of hole. And even if you're a tall person like myself, it means that you're not bending down unnecessarily and straining your back. The price is very good, and they also had excellent reviews. So what we're saying is, in sum, they represented, or at least appeared to represent, excellent value for money. Now these are £39, I get a 10% discount from Wickes, so I picked these up for the grand sum of £34 and 15 pence. And the other thing is, because you can actually buy these in store rather than it simply being an online purchase, it means that you can physically inspect them yourself, and having done that I was suitably impressed with the build quality. Now as you can see from the video footage, I dug a couple of good holes for the collapsing bollards, and these worked very effectively indeed. In fact, they're absolutely spot on, and I wish I'd bought something like this years ago. So having used these post hole diggers then to excavate two narrow deep holes, I found them to be very sturdy and very strong. The double head of the diggers is sufficiently wide to enable you to excavate a decent amount. Now they also close sufficiently together to enable you to remove a decent amount of earth, rather than some whereby there's a big gap at the head of the diggers when you try and close them, which will enable material to fall out. I also found these to have a decent weight, which means if you give them a good thrust, you can dig a decent amount out at a time. Now I also found the length of the handles to be about right for me. Now I'm 6'4", so I'm a tall guy. Now anything shorter, if you do a repetitive task, it means that there is always a possibility of buggering up your back. I found these to be about spot on, but not too long that they became unwieldy. Now the other thing to mention is the fact that these are most effective if you use them in conjunction with another tool which you can use for breaking up the ground. In this particular task I used a 4-foot crowbar, and this enabled me to break up the ground and retrieve the broken up soil using the post hole diggers. So conversely, if the soil is very loose and sandy, then there's a chance it may fall out of the gap at the bottom of the diggers. So in a situation like that, consider adding water just to bind the sandy soil together, just to make removal easier. And if you think about it, if say for example you're on a beach, if you want to try and build something with dry sand, then guess what, it's not going to happen, is it? It's just going to collapse. However, if the sand is wet, then yes, you can build structures such as sand castles. So as I say, if you've got a light sandy soil, then consider adding water just to bind the stuff together. The other thing that I would say is, don't thrust these into a hole and then try and rotate them while the head of the diggers is embedded in the soil, because basically if you do that, then you're going to twist the heads unnecessarily and you may break this tool. So what I'd say basically is, if you need to break up the soil using these, then thrust them in from different directions. But as I say, do not thrust them into thick soil. So for example, what I've got here, clay, and then while the head's embedded, try and twist the diggers around, because you're going to break them basically. Anyway, look, so overall then I'm delighted with these. I think they represent excellent value for money. They're a very good price. They do an excellent job. I wish I'd have bought these earlier. So in sum then, to conclude, do these have the caveman seal of approval? And the answer is an unequivocal yes. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.